Hey everyone, just wanted to share with you another Take 5 devotion, and today's devotion comes from John chapter 4, verse 15. And his word says, "The woman said to him, 'Sir, give me this water that I may not thirst, nor come here to draw.'" So you're probably familiar with this passage of scripture, but the woman in this verse is a woman of Samaria. She is speaking to Jesus, and her desire is to receive a certain type of water that Jesus had been speaking to her about. So, to give you the context of this verse, Jesus has traveled to Samaria, where he arrives at the village of Sychar about noontime. Jesus, wearied from his journey, arrives at a well where a Samaritan woman is drawing water. So there are two things that are unusual about this scene. The first being that Jesus has traveled to Samaria. The Jews of the time had no dealings with the people of Samaria. The Samaritans were seen as half-breeds, having intermarried with Assyrians, and were hated by the Jews for doing so. The hatred ran so deep, in fact, that the Jews would travel around Samaria instead of traveling through it, in order to avoid stepping foot within the country's borders. But Jesus, of course, was not governed by such hatreds, and in fact had a divine appointment with this woman. In their meeting at the well, Jesus asks her for a drink, catching the woman by surprise. In verse 9 of this chapter, we read her response. "Then the woman of Samaria said to him, 'How is it that you, being a Jew, ask a drink from me, a Samaritan woman? For Jews have no dealings with Samaritans.'" So this woman was well aware of the hatred that Jews had for Samaritans. She knew that she was seen as an outcast by any Jew, so should have been seen as an outcast by Jesus. The second thing that's unusual about this scene is the time of day this woman chose to draw water. She had chosen to draw water in the middle of the day, at noon. Drawing water was normally done in the early morning to avoid the heat of the day, and was also a time when women would gather to socialize. So this woman chose to draw water at noon in order to avoid the other women of the village. The question is why? Was she just not a people person? Was she antisocial? Was she socially distancing? Actually, we find out later in the story that she has had 5 husbands in her past, and that she was currently living with a man that she wasn't married to. So, because of her past, having multiple husbands, and the fact that she was currently living with a man she was not married to, she was no doubt seen as an outcast by the other women. The other women of the village seeing her as immoral. But Jesus, apart from the hatred between Jews and Samaritans, and apart from the condemnation of the other women of the village, chose to have a divine appointment with this woman. You see, he wanted to address an emptiness within this woman's heart. A thirst of soul she was unable to quench. You know, within all of us, there is a thirst of the soul, a longing to quench an emptiness that lies within us. And we often try to fill the emptiness with material things, or money, or maybe with comfort foods like cake or ice cream, or maybe we try to find fulfillment at the bottom of a bottle, the end of a pipe, or the end of a needle. Or we might be like this woman, trying to fill the void in our life with empty relationships, to end the loneliness, or to simply feel loved. You see, Jesus wanted to bring an end to the emptiness in this woman's life. So he speaks to her about living water, the only thing that could quench the thirst of her soul. Using the water of the well as an example, Jesus tells her that whoever drinks of this water, the water of the well, will thirst again. You know, we often drink of the wells of this world only to find ourselves thirsty again. Here's the truth that Jesus brings to us in the pages of Scripture. There is only one thing that can quench the thirst of our souls. It's the living water that Jesus gives. A water freely given for the asking. A water that becomes a fountain within us, springing up into everlasting life. There are two wells you can drink from today. The well of the world or the well that is Jesus. I pray you would choose the latter, knowing that true fulfillment can only be found in Him.